Powerful music today. Welcome, one and all, to our 274th world famous Sunday gathering. If we haven't yet met, I am Sandra, joined by my good friends Darren and Dominic today. Each week, we're here together about 90 minutes plus or minus with words of inspiration, prayer, healing, music, an address, a reading, and a medium demonstration. Tie it all together that our life is for a purpose. We don't die. Our loved ones are still with us. But each and every one of us, I feel, needs a little encouragement every week. I know I do. So we plan these Sunday gatherings to help us all move forward, know that we're not alone and that we are very much loved. So, on behalf of my friends and I, we welcome you here. It takes a lot to set aside some time to be here for your soul, but you did. So we thank you. So Darren has created our theme today. So I'm going to send it over to him to explain more and to open us in prayer. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, Sandra, Dominic, and everyone, and a massive welcome. Sunday Gathering 284. My, does that make you feel old? It definitely makes me feel old. And we was only talking at the beginning, and Sandra said it's 7 years nearly coming up. And can you think COVID was 7 years ago? Because obviously that's when we started these Sunday gatherings. And we was talking about how we age and how time goes quick and what have you. And it certainly does. But today you have the three amigos back together, myself, Sandra, and Dominic. I've created today's theme, which I've done as tough choices and tough decisions. Within our lives at different stages, I'm sure you've all had to do it, including myself. We've had times where we've had to make that tough decision, make that tough choice, and it can be life-changing. Not always in a bad way, sometimes in a good way, hopefully always in a good way. Whatever decision and choice you make is always for the positive and always for the better. But we'll hear more about that as we go along. So I've put together today's Sunday gathering with all the music, and I'll also be doing the opening prayer and part of the address. We have Mrs. Sandra, the hostess with the mostess, who'll be doing all the behind the scenes stuff as usual, making it all flow nice and well. But also she'll be doing our reading, our healing, and our words for the week. And then we've got amigo number 3, Mr. Dominic Boag, who will be doing part of the address, obviously the demonstration of mediumship and our closing prayer for this Sunday gathering. So, ladies and gents, without further ado, if you join me for today's opening prayer. We come here today as friends, brothers and sisters from across our lands, coming here today from different countries throughout our world, coming together speaking different languages, coming together with different dialects, coming together here today with different backgrounds, different educations and different understandings. But today we come here united as one under that banner of We Don't Die, as we come together in the universal language of love. And in today's unification, we come together in the hope of uniting the two worlds together once again. To our dear friends, brothers and sisters of that world we call unseen, as we come here today, we do so with no demands and no expectations, but just allow you to be free and open to share your words, thoughts and wisdoms through the spoken voice of all our workers here today, allowing every one of us to absorb, to take away with us, leaving us healed, uplifted and joyful when we leave this Sunday gathering. And in coming together here today, we come together in the knowing there is no discrimination and prejudice here or from those in the unseen world. Each and every one of us comes here today as an equal and will be treated as an equal. So each and every one of us can allow ourselves to be immersed in that unconditional love and that healing balm of the unseen world, and allowing us to come together in the joy and celebration of bringing the two worlds together as one. And we'd like to thank you for this opportunity, for allowing us to work with your world each and every Sunday, walking hand in hand, side by side, making a positive impact to all of mankind. So as we open up this Sunday gathering, we do so as always with positivity within our minds, smiles upon our faces and love in abundance, so that we can truly create that perfect meeting ground in which the two worlds can come together once again. And as always, we ask that healing light continues to shine to all four corners of our world, bringing that same love, joy, and happiness to all those who are in need on this day. So without further ado, my friends, we welcome you here today. Amen.
Thank you so much, Darren. And for me is the reading. Now, my reading today is a little bit of a story and some reality. Today, we're going to delve into something profound that shapes not only our personal choices, but also how freely we express our deepest truths. Sometimes the toughest decisions aren't about right or wrong, but about whether we choose to stand in our own light, even when we fear the reaction from those we love the most. I want to share a story that begins in the past and blooms right into our present, leaving us with a powerful understanding of our own courage. So here we start the parable. There once was a quiet village nestled beside an ancient forest. The villagers lived by the wisdom contained within the great scroll, which held all the known truths about the world. To question the scroll was unthinkable. Imagine this scroll as the dominant narrative of the world for centuries. Now we're going to go to real life because in real world history, my friends, and this is the truth, it was the mid 1500s. It's called the Council of Trent. The church declared a boundary. Science could study the physical, but the spirit, consciousness, and the afterlife were forbidden territory for an independent inquiry. And the consequences for stepping across that line enforced by the Inquisition were severe. In fact, this is the world of Giordano Bruno, who was literally burned at the stake for his belief. You know what his belief was? Is that we lived in a never ending universe. And you may have heard of Galileo Galilei, who was placed under house arrest for his idea that the earth revolved around the sun. Theirs were the ultimate tough decisions simply for seeing the world differently. Okay, so that's the truth. Now, back to our parable. There was a young woman named Clara. Clara had been raised on the absolute truth of the Great Scroll, that the heavens were a sacred canopy, perfect and permanent. But as she watched from her grove, she saw the moon transform from a sliver to a pearl, and stars drift where they should be fixed. The truth was undeniable. The sky was alive with movement and depth, and a brave, terrifying question bloomed into her heart. What else have I been told that isn't true? Her own eyes showed her a truth the authorities denied, and this presented Clara with a truly tough choice, a tough decision. Her first wave of fear was of the scroll keepers, but a deeper, more powerful, and more painful fear quickly followed. What would her family think? What would her friends, the ones she shared her life with, would they turn their backs on her? Would they call her crazy? The thought of being ostracized by her own people felt even more terrifying than the judgment from authorities. For weeks, she kept her discovery locked in her heart. But denying her own truth felt like a slow death. So she made a trembling, so with a trembling spirit, she made a choice. She began to whisper her truth to those who visited her small grove. She would point to the moon, showing them its true dance and how it changed. And the most unexpected thing happened. The opposite of her greatest fears came true. Instead of ridicule, she was met with wide eyed curiosity from many. Villagers leaned in close, whispering, I've seen it too, but I was too afraid to say anything. She discovered that she wasn't alone. She was just the first to be brave enough to speak. She had found her people hidden in plain sight. But her heart also knew sorrow. Her choice created a rift with some that she loved dearly. A few from her own family refused to look up at the sky. They clutched their copies of the Great Scroll tighter, their faces filled with a mixture of fear and pity. You are straying from the path, they warned her. This is against the ways of our ancestors. And in that moment of pain, Clara learned another profound truth. Her purpose was not to change them, for she had not walked in their shoes or understood the deep roots of their beliefs. Her purpose was simply to hold her own light steady for those who were searching for it. Now, what's the meaning of all this? Well, my friends, the shadows of the Council of Trent, which again is a true story, it really happened. That fear that silenced Bruno and Galileo, it still lingers here in 2025. But today, the deepest fear we face is often closer to home. It's the fear of being misunderstood by our friends and family. When you considered exploring your own spirituality, telling your own story, or speaking your truth, did you not worry, or do you not worry what the people around you might think? Will they continue to love you and like you? My own journey has been similar to Clara's. Many of you know when I wrote We Don't Die, I was terrified of what people in my life might think of me. And just like in that parable, the most beautiful thing happened. I found my tribe, and that tribe is you, my friends, here on the Sunday gathering. So many people were curious and supportive. But yes, indeed, I lost some people in my life, some family and friends who thought I was crazy or going against religious beliefs. So here is the wisdom that this story teaches us. Your journey is not about converting anyone, but it's about being a lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't chase after ships or scream at them to change course. It simply stands on the shore, holds its ground, and shines its light as bright as possible. It serves as a beacon for all who are seeking that shore. Your tough choice now is not about survival, but about liberation. It's the decision to be your own lighthouse. When you stand in your truth, you will feel the incredible joy of having the right ships sail into your harbor. And you will learn the compassionate grace of letting other ships sail on, sending them love on their journey, knowing their path is not yours to judge. But your courage has a ripple effect. It gives permission to others to shine their own light. And together we create a world where everyone can navigate by the truth in their own hearts. Thank you for listening to my reading. And I hope it made a difference. We're going to go into our healing now. And I always think of the saying, a ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are meant for. Well, we human beings can play it safe, or we can live a little dangerously, and things happen on the outside of our comfort zone. I want you to believe now that you are more powerful than you could ever think you are. In fact, as a soul having a human experience, there's a lot we can do by our intention and gratitude. So, believe it or not, you powerful soul, we're going to call upon you for healing today, not only for self healing, but for sending healing to the world. You don't need to know how it works. I don't know how it works, but I do believe when we hold that loving intent and that love for mankind and for nature, maybe even sprinkle in a little gratitude, those in the unseen world can use our energy and direct healing to where it's needed. We can always picture those we love healthy, whole, and well. It's the first step, seeing to believe. So, with that, the song we're going to have is from Music Travel Love, which is beautiful musicians, doing a rendition of Elvis Presley's Can't Help Falling in Love. And when I'm done, the next voice you're going to hear is Dominic and then Darren for our address. Let me find the song. You can close your eyes or keep your eyes open, whichever you prefer. And let's send that loving intention.
Now, isn't that such a beautiful song? Even its original song is fabulous, but even there was just beautiful strings and just beautiful voices that the lyrics had so much meaning. Absolute beautiful. What a wonderful choice. Not jealous that I didn't pick it whatsoever, but we will move on very quickly with that, won't we? But it's always a pleasure to be with my fellow amigos and, of course, each and every one of you. So thank you so much for joining us. I do think I've got a bit of a flu or a cold coming on, so if I sound a little, then please forgive me. But we will navigate together as my room is smelling of albus oil, which, to be fair, could smell worse, couldn't it? But tough decisions, it's a great theme. It really is. And it had me thinking earlier today, it's something that each and every one of us have had to do several times is make a tough decision. And tough decisions, well, let's be honest, they're not easy decisions, are they? They're not decisions that maybe we take lightly. But sometimes when it comes down to it, it's things we need to do. And like Sandra said, sometimes it goes against what maybe you already believe or what you already know, or maybe exactly like Sandra said with Clara, scared of what other people may think. And that's what really had me thinking, to be honest with you. And as Darren said, it does make you feel old when we start doing numbers. And Miss Sandra Champlain is the expert of telling us each week that we're getting old with her numbers, isn't she? But next year will be my 20 years of being a medium. 20 years, crazy. Where does the time go? But it wasn't a decision that I took lightly of doing this full time or becoming a professional medium full time. I was very set on my path, to be very honest with you, at a very young age. I had my whole life map all written out and all planned of what I was going to do and where I was going to go. And I don't know, maybe I even planned to meet Prince Charming somewhere. I don't know, but I had it all planned. I had it all planned. I was going to leave school and I was going to go and learn to drive and become a police officer and join the dog branch and then maybe the mounted branch, and we'll take it from there. But obviously, that did not happen. But then I became a medium and I became aware of an ability that really changed that path. It really changed that map. And I really had to scrunch up that roadmap that I once created and toss it in the trash because, well, it wasn't really relevant anymore because I knew I wasn't on that path. But I still didn't choose or decide that I was going to be a professional medium. I always thought that this was something that was happening that eventually I would be able to just put in the cupboard and ignore. I always thought maybe I could be aware of being spiritually connected and aware of the spirit world, but it didn't need to sculpt or shape my life. I could put it in the cupboard and get on with normal Dominic life. But things changed and things really took care of itself in a sense. And I had a full-time job working as a customer service in a contact center. And I would do my job and I would, fix people's bills or tell them, what was wrong or why their account wasn't working. And then I would say things like, oh yeah, 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 the dog called Buddy. Yeah, uh-huh. And I don't know why I was saying things, but then I started to realize as time went on, actually, the spirit world were interfering in my world without me realizing. For the customer to say, oh, I had a dog called Buddy, I just had to put him to sleep last week. Oh, that's so strange that you've mentioned that. Well, is it strange, or is someone actually telling me to mention Buddy to you so that you know he's okay? And eventually, what had happened, I started to get a lot of demands for private readings and a lot of demands for booking, events, etc. And then I started getting a lot of media attention. And my partner, Mark, was coming home from his full-time job working in hospitality to need to manage my emails, to need to manage my diary, to reply to things. And it just wasn't working. It really was not working for him coming to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and then needing to go back to work. And well, what actually then happened was we had to have a conversation of, does Dominic leave his full-time job with a salary, with a steady income and security, and take the plunge of being a medium full-time? And that was a hard decision, because my mom and my grandma and everyone around me was saying, don't be so silly. Do not be so silly. You're in a good job, you're in a good position, you've got good aspects coming up, you've got a lot of security, and if you leave that job and take the plunge of becoming a medium, you're not guaranteed to have that security, nor are you guaranteed that it's going to work. And I guarantee you, they were doubting my ability. They were doubting what I could do. But I had that confliction of, what do I do? Something had to change. And yes, I took that plunge and I resigned where I was working and said, very grateful for what I've done and for where I am, but my journey has changed. And a few months into making that hard decision, my whole life exploded. It exploded with colour and rainbows and butterflies and unicorns and just craziness, to be really quite frank. It exploded so much that then Mark had to make a tough decision of then leaving his job to manage my job and to manage me. And what I'm really getting at is sometimes making a hard decision or a tough decision can be really scary. And I guarantee some of you even joining us today are maybe sitting on a tough decision to make just now. Maybe you're pondering of, do I downsize the house, or do I move closer to family, or what about this job? Do I take this new promotion, or do I stay comfortable and do what I know what's best? And I think it's something that is really a human experience, to be quite honest, of making a tough decision. Whether it's in a material aspect of changing your life, or even if it's an emotional decision of falling out of love with someone or falling in love with someone. That's also a tough decision, isn't it? Maybe some of you are widowed and maybe someone's came walking into your life and gave your heart another little beat of, oh, that's a tough decision of, do I take the plunge and going on a date, or do I take the plunge and make that tough decision of introducing him or her to the family? I guess tough decisions, if we really look at it, the word tough, it's a tough word to say, to be quite funny. It's a hard word. Basically, tough really means hard. Making a hard decision or making a hard change or changing your life through tough decisions is something that we've all got to do. But if I really was to go back to 14-year-old Dominic losing his father and becoming aware of an ability that he has now, if you asked me then, Dominic, do you see yourself traveling the world, doing what you do and speaking the good truth that life truly is eternal and that there is no death? Probably tell you to go to the doctor, to be honest, and try to get some help. But then looking at my life now, almost 20 years on, I didn't make the changes and take that plunge and really bite the bullet of that hard, tough decision. Would I have changed some of the lives that I did? Would I have touched some of the people's lives that I've touched? Would I have met the incredible people like yourselves? No, no. And don't get me wrong, even listening to myself now, it really sounds scary what I done. Left a secure job with a steady income that paid my bills and paid my house and, gave me my lifestyle, to then taking the plunge of, well, next month I'm not going to have any money, so I need to juggle and make it work. I actually managed. But that tough decision, looking back, was probably the best decision of my life. It opened so much opportunities, it opened so many doors. And what I'm really getting at is, let's turn that tough decision into the best decision of your life. Let's change it from being a hard, negative word into it's only hard and negative for a moment. The moment that I accept it, change it, then I control it. And like Clara said, she had to change, or she had to make that decision to speak her truth and stand in her light, whether some people liked it or not. And yes, it's not about pleasing everyone. Be that lighthouse that actually people come and find your light. Don't be the light that tries to find the ship. And always remember that tough decisions are only a moment of a lifetime. Only a moment. So I'm going to pass over to my fellow amigo, Mr. Darren, and we will see what tough decisions he has to talk about.
Thank you for that, Dominic. And we're happy that you made those tough decisions all those years ago. And you're doing good for the world, good for the spirit world, and good for everybody on this earth. So thank you for that. When I thought of the theme or tried to come up with a theme for this week, each week, when we take it in turns to come up with a theme and what have you, sometimes I'm one of these people who can sit down and overthink things and spend a lot of time thinking about things. And Scott happened to be there, and I said, "It's my Sunday gathering this week, coming week." He goes, "What are you going to? What's your theme?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." But he's a quick thinker on his feet, as many of you probably know when you've seen him talking and listened to him talk. And he said straight away, "Tough choices, tough decisions." And he goes, "It's quite apt for the moment that we're in." And I sat there thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, you're right. It is something we're going through at the moment. And I thought, yeah, that'd be perfect for the Sunday gathering, actually. And I think it follows along nicely with Dominic's theme last week. Um, so I thought, let's go with tough decisions, tough choices. Throughout our lives, we're molded from a young age, aren't we? We're molded to behave a certain way, act a certain way, and think a certain way, whether that's through family, education, no matter what it may be. And then you become older and bolder. You start making your own decisions, your own choices. And like Sandra mentioned earlier, when we make choices, even if they're not big decisions or big choices, do you notice how many people have an opinion or a view on what you're doing or how you're doing it? And, it's meant with the greatest love and the greatest, advice they can give you. But deep down inside, that's not what you want to do. It's going against what you want to do and against your thoughts and decisions. So you just kind of have to just sweeten them up and go about your own decision and stuff. But, small decisions, not a problem. But then it comes to the big decisions. And that's sometimes when you want the advice and you want the input. But how many have you gone to people and asked for advice and input on a big decision you want to make, and you get so many different answers? And I don't know if you're like me, it confuses the life out of me. That one wants me to do it. That one doesn't want me to do it. That one thinks I should do part of it. That one thinks I should do it this way. And sometimes it's the worst thing you can ever do. And many of you know we own an American diner back here in the UK, which we started up, just under 10 years ago now. Can you believe just under 10 years ago? And when we set this diner up, it was going to be a family business. It was myself, Scott, his mum and his dad, and his sister. But sadly, as many of you know, when we started off this journey of opening this diner, the day before there was a big attack, and sadly, Scott's dad passed the other world. But nevertheless, we still went ahead with our goal, with our dream. This is what we wanted to do as a family. And over the years, it's been stressful, tiring, exhausting. Many of you that run your own business, can appreciate how hard it is. But also many of you that work for business companies, the stress you go through, the pressure you're under, especially in hospitality, the demands, you name it, there's so many obstacles. So we've plodded on and plodded on, and we've wanted to plod on because it's a legacy, it's a memory, it's Frank's place, we need to keep this place going. And that's always been at the forefront of our minds. We need to keep this business going and doing well. But we had a 10-year lease signed and it's due to run out next year. So we kind of sat down, just me and Scott, we thought we need to make a decision now. What do we do? Obviously, similar to Dominic's scenario, we're doing the diner full time. Scott's trying to do his mediumship and help people and go to events. And it's chaos, When Dominic said about going to bed at 2 in the morning after doing emails and blah, 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 most of you that know me, you probably get an email at 2 in the morning because that's when I'm more alive and more, sitting in bed doing my emails. And we said, we've got to make a decision now. What do we do? And, kind of speaking to different people, you get different answers, different opinions, different inputs. And I said to Scott, it's only us that can make this decision. And we decided we need to let go of the emotional side of it. We need to look logically now. What do we do? We're stressed, we're tired, everything's getting worse, costs are going up, all these kind of things, they're all against us. You know, we've got through COVID, we've got through this, we've got through that, we've done this. How much more fight have we got in us? Because I'll be honest, a little while ago, I had a bit of a wobble moment. Because obviously Scott goes away working quite a lot. So I'm left to run the diner, which I don't mind, I enjoy. But sometimes it becomes overwhelming when there's everything going on. There's equipment breaking down, there's staff playing up, it's twice as busy as you expected, all these kind of things. And I did have a bit of a meltdown. And I said to Scott, if it wasn't my business, I would have put the keys down and walked out the door. I said, I can't, you know, I'm not happy, you know. And the worst of it is, I'm doing this for free. I'm doing all this work for free. But it's what you do having your own business, as many of you know. So anyway, the decision came the other day, and we thought the landlord came and had a conversation with us, and he had, it was me, Scott was away at the time, I think. And he said, would you like to extend your lease next year? I said, nope, we're done. He goes, what about 5 years extension? Nope, we're done. And I'm one of these people, I take a long time to think of my decisions, but once I've made it, I've made it. He goes, what about another 3 years? Nope, not interested. You know, give me another 30 days, not interested. I said, we've made our decision, we're sticking to it, we're done. So we had to make this big decision, but in the back of my mind, same as like Dominic said, you're thinking, what am I going to do? You know, this year I've done 30 years in management in hospitality, retail, and the building sector. And I said to Scott, do you know what? For once, I don't want to do it. I'm fed up of management. I've done it for 30 years. And many of you that's been in that field know the issues you have to deal with, the battles you have to deal with. And I said, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of fighting and fighting because you feel like you're fighting all the time. And I said, no, I'm done with it. So now it's that big decision. We've got plans and goals going forward. But you know what? Once we made that big decision, it took us months to get there. You know, we spoke to a few close friends and passed things through them. How do we do this? How do we do that? But the day we made that decision, we're still in the business, obviously. But once we made that decision, it was like a weight was lifted. You know, we've become happy at the thought of our future. You know, we're not going to be tired. We're not going to be exhausted. We're not going to be drained. We're not going to be stressed. And it's like, oh my, we're going to have a life. And we've made that decision consciously now. We're going, we're done. We even said to landlord, we got so excited. We even said to landlord, would go early. You can advertise the property early. We want out. And it's going to be advertised this week. So we're all going well. We could be out of there by Christmas. And that's our goal now. And I thought, do you know what? We've both become happier in ourselves. We're excited. There's still that fear of, oh my, how do we survive? What's going to happen? How do we go on? But you start talking to people, you know, you think, have I made the right decision? Have I made the right choice? And we've started telling our customers, our regulars, because you think, oh, you know, there's going to be, all of a sudden, we're not going to be there. And you know what? You get the odd people, oh, where we're going to go for our coffee, or where we're going to go for this, where we're going to go to eat, or what have you. And we don't say it to them, but me and Scott say, oh, don't worry about us then. You know, sod what happens to you, sod what you have to do. But you do get those odd ones that come up and say, do you know what? I'm so happy for you. And do you know what? You guys are making the right decision. Do you know what? You guys are doing the right thing. And that kind of gives you that sort of moment. You feel like you're doing the right thing. And we had this conversation with Scott's mum, obviously, you know, because the business was part of his dad's legacy and what have you. And we thought, oh, we've got to break the news to her. We've got to tell her. But you know what? She turned around and said, Frank would be happy, you know, because you're making the right decision that makes you happy. He wouldn't be happy with you being somewhere doing something that doesn't make you happy. And that kind of made us feel at peace. You know, we used to say, Frank, give us an answer, Frank. But obviously, when you want that answer from the other world, you never get it, do you? Because we're too demanding at times. But no, you do have those tough decisions. And like I said, there's still lots to do, lots to focus on. You know, what do we do next? You know, where's the money going to come from? How are we going to survive? There's all that kind of stuff. But, you know, on the lighter side of that, we have goals and ambitions, what we want to do after the diner. And it will not involve food again, hospitality again, retail again. I've said to Scott, I've made that clear to Scott. I will do, you know, I've done it for 30 years. I want to do something different. You know, like Dominic and like many of you guys, when I was leaving school, I wanted to be this, I wanted to do that. But you know what happens? You start off working while you're at college and what have you, and then you kind of get sucked into that path, sucked down that path. Our paths deviate from what we originally intended to do. So hopefully, who knows, I can put myself back on that path from many years ago, and hopefully get rid of a few wrinkles. They're not old age wrinkles, they're stress wrinkles. Um, but some of these decisions we need to make, they take a long time to ponder over, a long time to think about. And we can get views and opinions from other people, but I'm a believer you can see further ahead in your life than other people can. They're only seeing bits of your life, but you're the only person that can truly make that decision. I know Sandra talks about her hummingbirds, and what beautiful creatures they are. And just before we started this Sunday gathering, we were talking about the hummingbirds, or Sandra was, and they're getting ready to make their migration down to the south where it's warmer. And if you think, we're very similar to hummingbirds in some respects, aren't we? If you look at hummingbirds, they're in Sandra's garden, they've got lovely environment, they're fed wonderful food every day, given fluids every day. Why move? Why are we moving away from this environment that we're, enjoying? We've got a lovely host, why are we going to make this change? But then the hummingbird needs to make that, if you're living in that kind of environment, why would you make that change? In a nutshell, they're making it because they need to live. If they stay in Sandra's back garden, they're not going to live through the winter. So they need to make that tough decision to migrate. Where do we migrate to? Where is there going to be another Sandra down south to going to feed us and look after us and create this wonderful environment? But do you know what? They're making this huge decision because they need to live. They need to be happy. They need to be healthy. And that's what we need to do. That's the nuts and bolts of what I think we need to do when we're looking at these big decisions in our lives. Why are we making this decision? We're making it because we want to be happier. We're making it because we want to be healthier. And we're making it because we want to feel better. Like Dominic, he made this big, bold decision. And I'm sure he looks back now and doesn't regret a single moment. He's happier, he's healthier, a bit grayer, but hey, that's what comes with age. Um, and that's what that's what our decisions should be based on. There's only you that can really truly make these big decisions. I've made many throughout my life, and I know I touched on some last week. I worked for a company for 15 years. I made the decision after that 15 years to move somewhere else into the unknown. I look back now and I don't have a single regret. I made the right decision. I even left the company that I was earning mega bucks on. But you know what? I made that decision. I lost a lot of money moving or leaving. But you know what? It's not always about money. They say money makes the world go round. It does. But does money bring you true happiness? I don't believe it does. I believe it's people and how you are. So as long as you make those big decisions, wholeheartedly yourself for the right reasons, that should bring you happiness, health, joy, whatever you want as the outcome within your life, just like those hummingbirds. And next year, they've got to make that big decision. But you know what? Next year, it won't be a big decision for them. It's quite simple next year. Let's go back to Auntie Sandra. She feeds us, she gives us fluid, she's got lots of lovely environment, and she'll look after us. But yep, we're just like a group of hummingbirds. There's times that we come across that we have to make those big decisions. And truly, only you can make that big decision. And just remember the key goals, health and happiness. That's all you can wish for. And I'm going to hand you back to Auntie Sandra now to look after us all.
Just call me Mother Nature. Yeah, my afterlife is going to be filled with squirrels and wild turkeys and birds and butterflies and kitties and doggies. Let's move on to our demonstration of mediumship. And Darren and Dominic, thank you so much for your wise and wonderful words. Just living vicariously through you, seeing it does work out when we make a change. It does. But that fear is always there. So with our demonstration, friends, it's just an opportunity for our friends in the unseen world to say hello. Let us know they're still around. They're still part of our lives. And like I say every week, please pull the readings towards you. There will be a handful of people in our community that will get readings today, but I 100% believe that they speak on behalf of all of our loved ones. And if you listen in close enough, you might just say, boy, I needed some of that for today. So pull those messages forward towards you, pull them into your soul. Believe that the words coming through from our friends in the unseen world are just as valid as maybe my reading today, and certainly Darren and Dominic's address. Okay. So I know we have some new Sunday gatherers with us and some returning Sunday gatherers. So I'll just go through how our medium demonstration works. Nothing's ever guaranteed. Sometimes technology doesn't work. We're going to stay positive though, but we have close to 150 people with us from all around the world. Dominic will request from those in the unseen world that want to work with him to do so. They'll present themselves to him in whichever way they see fit. Sometimes they draw upon his feelings, his memories, his words, sometimes tastes and smells. We don't know. But he will describe the person that has connected with him. And it will be somebody one of us knows. Could be a friend, a family member, somebody you worked with, somebody distant. So you really have to pay attention. So once he gives the description of the person, I want you to think to yourself, do you know this person? They no longer walk this earth, but could they be here for you? So if you understand all the description that he has described and you say, your soul gets that little nudge like, hey, he's talking about Bob or he's talking about Mary. If you're getting that nudge, we want you to press your raise hand button. And this is audience participation now. Whatever device you're on, find that raise hand button and press it for me. If you're on a tablet or some other device, sometimes there's 3 little dots. You have to press first and then that raise hand button will show up. Why this is critical that we do this every week is sometimes there's 2 or more people that can take all the information. So whether it's Dominic or another medium working with us, he'll continue to work with our friend in the spirit world, maybe giving a little bit more information. We ask you to be honest. And if something doesn't fit, press the lower hand button. So you'll notice that raise hand button goes from raise hand to lower hand. So all you fabulous people with your hands raised, hit the lower hand button, put them down. That's just how that works. And if you are somebody who works with our medium today, I will send you a little pop-up that says that the host would like you to unmute. And then and only then will you see the unmute button appear. Now you will remain off camera, you lucky people. And I say lucky, who knows? But anyways, all we need is your voice. And when I say that, when you work with Dominic or any medium from this point forward, let them do the work. All we need from you is a yes, no, or I don't know to the information that they give. We want everybody leaving the Sunday gathering today knowing that our wonderful mediums really are working with loved ones in the spirit world. They're very much alive. I know we can all connect with our loved ones, but these are lovely people that have really given their life, as you've heard from Dominic, to be of support of other people, letting them know that love is real and we'll see them again. So again, if you work with Dominic or anyone, just say yes, no, or I don't know. Don't give them too much information. So that's pretty much it. And what are the rest of us going to do who aren't getting a reading? Oh, you did listen. Oh, you're going to pull the information towards you. You're going to say this person showed up because there's something for me in this message, and really witness just how close they are, that they're still part of our lives. So we're going to go into a piece of music. Darren's picked a lovely song by Shawn Mendes. And while the song's playing, just invite your loved ones to be with you. You really don't have to invite them because they're with you. Engage that creativity part of yourself and just picture them around you if you wish. It's a wonderful song. We'll be back with our demonstration. But again, these loved ones speak on behalf of all. They continue to learn and grow and experience in the unseen world, but they're only a thought away from us and they can multitask, which someday we'll figure out how that's done. So here is our song. Nothing holding us back. It's a peppy little tune. Welcome back, Dominic.
Thank you, Sandra. What a fabulous song. I really, really do enjoy Shawn Mendes. So great tune. Great song. Um, just as I was starting to become aware of the spirit world, I was very much aware of a gentleman that stepped forward and made me I'm really so proud of wanting to talk about his service in the fire service. So I do believe that this gentleman would have been a fireman. He would have been involved in the fire service. And I know as I connected here with him, he kept talking to me about occasions of, I don't know if he like created like a, I don't know what we would maybe call it in the States, but maybe like a fun day or like a cookout or like a community event. We call it a fete here in the UK, but I know that he would have been involved in bringing people together and having good music and maybe some vendors and food. But he kept making me want to talk about the good times that he brought people together. But I know that there would be something specific about a piece of his uniform that is still here. So whether this be some stripes or a badge or something, but I want to talk about his piece of uniform from the fire service still with us.
Thank you very much. If you understand this information, go ahead and press your raise hand button. Dominic, we have two with their hands raised. We have Fran and Sylvia.
Fabulous, fabulous. So I do get the impression that this would be Dad. So I'm hoping that I'm connecting with one of these beautiful ladies as Dad.
All right, Fran and Sylvia, if it's not Dad, press your lower hand button. All right, Fran still has her hand raised. Fran, if you could press your unmute button. And Sylvia, you just keep listening in. Oh, Fran, hello. Fran, you're pressing your raise hand and lower hand button. Can you find your unmute button? Hi, Fran.
Hi, I didn't mean to do any of that.
Oh, you did not? Well, you did. Well,
I'm
nice to meet
sorry.
you. That's not a problem. You just keep
Sorry.
listening in. It happens, doesn't it? Now, Sylvia could take all information, but she lowered her
Let's
hand.
just check with Sylvia just while we're waiting then.
Sylvia, could you raise your hand again just so I can see you? There we go.
She is a little expert.
Uh-huh. Sylvia, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hello. Yes, this person was my very best friend, business partner, captain in the fire department, and he founded multiple days out here in the Bay Area that still continue. The first dragon boat races running across the United States to raise money. There is actually an annual day in his honor in the Bay Area every single day.
Perfect.
Music.
Okay, sweetie, thank you. Now, again, I'm not too sure where I got the crossover, but can I just double check? Would he have been a father himself?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay, sweetie, because I did feel like there was a father feeling. So just bear in mind that there may be a celebration or a reason why he's celebrating about being a father. That maybe there may be something. I almost feel like a daughter, but we can get into it a little bit more. But the moment I connected with him, I got this great impression of him being excited and happy to tell me about the day or the event that he created and the celebration and bringing people together. And I almost feel, and you really summed it up to be very honest, but I felt like a great stature of a great role model within the community is certainly what I felt with him, you see. Um, and I do get the impression, like we had talked earlier, about making tough decisions and, maybe putting others before ourselves. That's certainly something that this beautiful man did, is certainly what I want to say to you with his service. But it's almost like, would you accept if I says to you that nothing was ever an effort to him? Like if you asked, can you help fix my car? Or can you take me to the airport? Or can you do this? Absolutely. No problem. Nothing was an effort to this beautiful man.
Yes.
And I do feel as he connected a little bit closer with me there was a great sense of if you can't help others, if you can't help others within your community, or if you can't help family, then who can you help? What can you do? Is certainly what I want to say to you. But it's very weird because I almost get the impression, ever so loosely, he could be quite animated when he talked, or quite, characteristic when he talks. It makes me want to talk with his hands and be very expressive, if I can say that.
Yes.
Yes. And do you know if there was a John that connected with him?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. Because I feel I want to make a reference to, you remember Johnny or do you remember John? Like this type of feeling is what I want to say here. But also, can I ask you, and I know this may sound weird, but do you know if his name had been painted or engraved or like a plaque or something on an old engine? Like
Yes.
a fire truck, because it keeps making me feel like there may be a photograph of him beside the truck or beside his name on the engine, is certainly what I want to say to you. It sounds funny because I'm asking him, like, why are you here to talk to Sylvia, sorry, he's making me want to call you Sylvie. Why are you here? What do you want to tell her? And he says, because a true friend like her is hard to come by, and I want her to remember that she is a good friend, she is a good person, and that she is special in her own right. And I feel that you, maybe similar to your beautiful friend here, praises everyone else, helps everyone else, supports everyone else. But maybe that reflection needs to come back to self just now. And I feel your beautiful friend here is basically being captain and calling rank and wanting to give you that appreciation and that support as well, sweetie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
You're
so
so welcome. Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to
much.
spend that moment with you.
Yes. Bye
You
bye.
take care and thank you for joining us. So I'm very much aware of a lady that steps forward here, and the moment that I connect with her, you get the whole impression of being frustrated that my hands didn't work anymore. So I feel maybe she had taken a stroke, or her hands were very arthritic. I don't feel it's arthritis, but I'm willing to just put that there. But I feel perhaps through a stroke, her hands not working anymore, and I get the impression that she would have crafted, and I almost want to talk about being able to quilt or stitch or I don't want to say knit, but with the fabric, because I know that there would be pieces of um a blanket or an Afghan that would still be here belonging to this lady. And because I used the word Afghan, I'm feeling very much drawn to the East Coast. So I feel there may be connections to Massachusetts or to New Hampshire or to Maine. I'm very connected to the East Coast as I connect with this lady. But I want to talk about the quilts and the Afghan and the stitching, but the hands being very much a problem for her latterly is certainly what I want to say with her. Um, and I feel there would be like a Kathleen or Kathy name that would be connected with her as well, because I'm just connecting with her a little bit more, and I feel like either this is her friend that she's with in the spirit world, but I want to say Kath or Kathy as I connect with her as well.
Thank you very much. Who understands this information, or you think you do? Press your raise hand button. All right, we have 4 people with their hands raised. 5.
Fabulous. I'm going to use this word very strongly to be the evidence, but I want to talk about Jenny or Jennifer or Jenny, like a name like this that I feel should be very significant within our family.
We have a Jennifer with her hand raised.
Do
Would you
we?
like to speak with her?
Yes, let's go with that then. That's
All
perfect.
right. And she was the
I'm
first one to
excited.
raise her hand.
No,
Jennifer, if
stop
you
it.
could press your unmute button. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jennifer.
So
Just very quickly, sweetie, just tell me what you understand.
I understand the hands. I understand
Yep,
that this is a very dear friend of mine. Again, my name is Jennifer,
yep.
and it is knitting, and I live in New Hampshire.
Fabulous. And again, sweetie, I just felt there was a great sense of her being frustrated of not being able to use her hands because of the things that she could create.
Yes.
Okay. And again, I felt very much like this quill or the fact this Afghan, like this feeling of her pieces, if you want to say for a better word, still being here today. So do you know if some family members still have things belonging to her?
Yes, I have many of her sweaters that she's knit.
Wonderful. That's so funny because I actually did not, and I like to be honest, I did not get it as sweaters, but I was very aware that I actually pulled at my own sweater there, so that's quite funny. But I mean this with the greatest of respect, but like she is absolutely incredible, but also insane, if I can say that to you, because she just makes me feel like she's so funny. Like she could be witty, she could be sarcastic, like she could come away with things that, I don't know, it's so funny because I just feel like I don't know, her personality is contagious, if I could say that to you.
Contagious, yes. The sarcasm, not so much.
Okay, I'm going to stick with that because I just feel in some way like some of the things she would say, maybe not necessarily sarcastic, but the things that she would say, like, is quite funny or witty, and she doesn't even realize that she's, making a funny remark or a funny comment. We say being an unconscious comedian, if I can say that to you, but I don't think she plans to say things the way that she says it, but I don't think she necessarily realize some of the things that she was saying that maybe you and her, the time she would spend together, would be, laughing about still to this day, if I could say that.
Yes.
Perfect. And again, would you accept any connections or any memories? Did you and her ever take a trip to um, Wales at all?
No.
No, because I feel like I want to talk about the trips that you and her would take of going to the water or going by the ocean.
No.
Hmm. So I want to talk about taking trips or going by the ocean or going by the beach. And I want to talk about taking time out of our life or our crazy life just to spend quality time together. But I feel as if we're beside the water.
Hmm. I'll have to think on that.
Think on that, and I'm going to stick with that feeling of Wells for some reason, but I just feel there's an element of, she appreciated the smaller things in life.
Yes.
Yeah, because again, I want to talk about the times that we took together and the moments and the deep conversations, or the things like this is certainly what I want to say to you. And would you accept if I says to you, you embarking on your own spiritual journey as well?
Yes.
Yeah, thought so. Because she's laughing at, again, that feeling of the sarcasm and that feeling of, who you've become and what you've been embarking on and what you've been learning is certainly what I want to say too. And it's as if she's giving you that gentle, nudge with her elbow of, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Look at you now. You see? So I want you to know that since she has crossed over, she has seen this journey that you've been taking. She has seen what you've been embarking on, and she just keeps telling me to say that she herself is being a part of this, if I can say that to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And do you understand the name Kathy connecting with her?
I I don't. She may have had a sister by that name, but I'm not sure.
That's okay, sweetie. I will certainly hold that. But I know that I just want to say, let everyone know, let let yourself know, and with Kathy and with Kathleen, is certainly what I want to say with this. So take joy knowing that she's reconnected with her people, with her family, and there's a great sense of being back together. Is certainly what I want to say with this. Just very quickly, do you know if there was any do you know if there was any connections with her of Albert at all or Bert?
Not that I'm aware.
That's fine. I didn't think so because I think it's my next connection. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for allowing me to spend that moment with you, sweetie.
Thank you.
You're so very welcome. Thank you very much. So, very much aware of this man. He comes across old fashioned, but I don't really know what I mean by this, to be quite honest. But I almost want to talk about having like how he dressed would have been like nice jackets and nice pants, his smart trousers. But I kept wanting to make a reference to the name Albert or Bert, or Bertie as I connect with this gentleman here. And I know that I want to talk about like big band music and jazz music. I want to talk about the music being very significant with him for some reason as I connect here with him. And I know that there would be elements of either being connected to the music or even playing in the music or the music scene. But it makes me want to talk about the music as I connect here with him. And I know I want to talk about either his lungs or his esophagus, but I know that there may have been cancer or issues within his chest and his throat as I connect here with him as well. I'm feeling very drawn to New York for some reasons. I'm just going to say that maybe a New York connection with you guys, but I'm going to throw that in there.
Thank you very much. Who understands this gentleman? Press your raise hand button. And we'll wait
No one.
patiently. Yeah, not yet.
Just to throw in another little piece, I actually feel there may be like an Italian connection because the more I'm hearing, I almost like want to say something like Alberto. So I'm just going to throw that in to see if that places anywhere as well. And Anna Marie or Rosemary, something like a Marie double-barreled name as well.
No one
And
yet.
still no one.
Uh-huh. Sylvia has her hand raised again. Let's talk to Sylvia.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, this man, again, one of my very best friends and a former business partner, his name was Herbert. And he lived in New York City for a period of time. He died in New York City. He was very, very supportive and a music aficionado and jazz, but he didn't play music.
No,
He
no.
was, yeah.
I feel this is more like a father or an uncle. Like I want to talk about father, dad, and uncle with this gentleman, sweetie. So thank you for that, but it doesn't quite
Okay.
feel like a friend feeling, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. So I know the dad would be with this gentleman as well, because again, I feel like I want to acknowledge two gentlemen as they come together here. I still feel like an Alberto, Albert, as I connect a little bit more with him. Um, and I feel like a Ralph or Alf, like a name like that, also connected. I feel there's a strong feeling like of an Italian feeling here with them. Um, Connection certainly to New York. And again, I want to talk about the music for some reason, the jazz or the big band. This comes up a lot. I almost feel like I'm going to like a speak easy, to be honest, or like a bar in some way that I feel this music's connecting.
Thank you. All right. Everyone might need to think a little bit out of the box. It sounds like it could be somebody a little bit older. So have a think. And if you can take most of the information or you're on the fence, press your raise hand button. Let us know. Leslie has her hand raised. Let's go to Leslie. Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
So I have a father named Albert, and a brother and an Italian, our family lived up in New York. And there is a um group of people in the family who made guitars. So
Mm.
I don't know if
Not too sure. I'm going to stick with the name though, because I'm quite, adamant with the Albert or Bert name. If I could say this, and do you understand as well, Sweetie, with the issues with the chest or the esophagus? Do you understand where I would get the feeling with that, Sweetie?
I don't know if that's how my grandfather died or not. I'm
That's
not,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, sweetie, that's fine. But I'm very much aware of wanting to say dad and the other gentleman. I'm not 100% sure who the other gentleman is, and I want to be honest. But I know that I had to make a connection list. And where would I get like the Marie, like the Anna Marie or the Rosa Marie? Where did I get like the Marie name? Was there an aunt or anything like this?
Rose was my grandfather's wife,
Okay,
and I
okay. Well,
think
maybe it is your grandfather. Now that would maybe piece together, wouldn't it? But again, I just felt in some way a great sense of like family back together, a sense of like family coming together and finding each other, because I know that there was a sense of family being lost or a family not necessarily connecting in somewhere. So if I can just say this, I did feel a great influence of the music, a great sense of, the jazz or the big band or something. So I know there would have been something to do with playing in a band or connecting in some way with the music industry, because it came up a lot as I connected to not just, as you said, making guitars, if I can say that to you. As I connected with Dad, would you accept if I says to you as well, a very deep thinking gentleman? And what I mean by that is if he had any decisions to make or if he had any choices to make, he would mill it over, if I can say that to you.
Well, my dad hasn't passed, so I was thinking it could possibly be more of my grandfather.
Okay, so that's fine. Because I know that I want to talk about like making decisions or not taking decisions lightly is certainly what I want to talk about. And I feel that would be to do with family. So again, I know that this change of where we lived or this change of moving would have been something that he would have thought about a lot
mm,
before uprooting, if you want to say, or making that plunge, is certainly what I would say to you. Can I just ask, has there been anything that you as a family have been thinking or looking at where dad's concerned?
Ask that question again.
I almost feel like maybe he's acknowledging where you and the family have maybe been looking at decisions or choices or things where your own father's been concerned for
Yeah.
maybe his well-being or his health, because again, it kind of comes
Yes.
back in a sense. And again, I'm not rushing, but I've only got a limited time here, but I know that I want to acknowledge it's hard or it's difficult for the family where decisions are maybe being made for dad.
Yes.
Okay, sweetie. So again, just know that he is present, he is aware of this, and he is giving a great sense of if he can support or if he can help from the spirit world, he will do everything in his might to help you guys make the right decision or be comfortable with the decisions as you make them for your father. Okay,
Mm,
so take what you can from that. But again, all I will say to you is just remember that a guitar has many strings that makes many notes. Okay,
mm,
like yourself, you have maybe many decisions, and it's important just to give them all a little pluck and see what maybe is the best one or what sounds the best for you.
mm.
Okay, Leslie,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
You're
Now,
so very welcome. Thank
Dominic,
you,
you've
sweetie.
had a lady named Nicole who typed in the chat box that she could also take all that information.
Fabulous, wonderful. And again, Sandra, you know as well, sometimes the spirit world use our intelligence to maybe connect or touch two people as well. And as you know, we've only got a limited time, so we can't touch everyone. But thank you, Nicole, for letting us know that. That's fabulous. I'm very much aware of what feels to me a brother stepping forward here from the spirit world. And as I connected with him, he came across rather mischievous actually, and I almost was about to call him a magician, but I don't know if that's right. But I feel like he would always have an ace up his sleeve. He would do party tricks, like he was just so fun. And I want to talk about cards. I want to talk about making people laugh. And it's interesting because in the exterior, you or the exterior, he would always come across, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm funny, pick a card, let's have fun, let's be jokey. But maybe inside he had his own mental health going on and maybe not always 100%. So I know that I want to talk about a big advocate or a big support that maybe you are in memory or honor of your brother with mental health is certainly what I need to say here. Um, I do feel as he connects here with me as well. He would have at some point before passing struggled with alcohol. So I know that maybe through his mental health, he turned to alcohol. And I feel there would have been aspects of that contributed to his passing, if I can certainly say this as well here. Um, I was about to say Steph, and I don't know why. I don't know if there's maybe a Stefani or Stephanie or Steph in some ways. I'm not convinced with that. I like to be honest, but I just heard what sounded to me Steph in some way here. Um, and I know very connected with him. I also want to make a reference to Tommy or Thomas as I connect with him as well. But this whole thing of being like a magician or, being a little eccentric and just trying to make people laugh and smile should really be the telltale with him here as I connect with him.
Thank you very much. Who recognizes this gentleman, man, remembers the magic tricks?
I feel he had been in his mid-30s as well. Like he's certainly like what I would say my age just now is what I want to acknowledge.
Lisa has her hand raised. Let's go over to Lisa.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
Just very quickly, do you understand this being your brother?
Yes.
Yep. And again, why am I getting this feeling of being like a magician and just joking and playing with cards and just trying to interact and make people laugh?
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's so weird because I know he's not a magician, but I just felt like, the cards and making people laugh, the fun, the humor, being very important. But is there a Steph or a Stephanie or anything?
I have a cousin named Stephanie, but I haven't seen her since I'm a baby.
Hmm. Not convinced. I don't know, but I would rather express it because I heard it. But if you've got a cousin, that's good. That's okay. And you understand Tommy, Thomas?
That was my grandfather's name on my mommy's side.
Okay. And what if I was to say to you as well, Bill, William, Bill?
Yeah. Oh, I can
Perfect.
take that.
Okay. Okay. Um, that sounds very funny. I know that I want to acknowledge with your brother a great sense of where a lot of people in the family didn't necessarily think or have a concern for your brother. And again, I said earlier, this feeling of, I'm okay, I'm happy, I'm fine. So I know that in some ways, learning that he had these issues or learning that there was a lot more going on up here was a bit of a struggle or a battle for people to understand what was going on.
Yes.
Yeah, because again, I feel like he was a master of disguises or a master of hiding things, is sort of what I want to say here. But he also makes me feel that he owes you an apology because he sees that you tried to reach out to help him or you tried to express that you knew things weren't right or you knew that he wasn't doing 100%, but he maybe didn't tell you or tried to hide that from you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because he knows that that was something you burdened of. What if I was able to help him, or what if he did let me support him? Would he still be here, or would he still be with us? And he knows that that was something that you carried, and he doesn't want you carrying that anymore. If I can certainly say this to you, so please know that he is aware of the support and the love that you tried to give him, but unfortunately. It was his journey. That's what he keeps saying. It was his journey. It was his role and he takes full responsibility for the way that things were, if I can say that to you as well.
Yes.
Okay. Um, I do feel very much, as you know, being reconnected with, your grandpa, the family, your mom, your dad, whoever also being in the spirit world with him. Um, You know what I keep seeing? You know the Earth, the globe that you could spin that you would sometimes get in schools and you could see all the different places in the world.
Yes.
I keep seeing this globe for some reason. I don't really know what he's trying to show me here. But when he was younger, would he have maybe have had the spinning globe or anything at all?
I think he used it as a bowling ball.
Wow, okay. I don't really know what
Yeah.
to do, but I keep seeing this globe that I know exactly what it is, but I don't know what he's trying to do with it. And did he have a friend Danny? Dan or
Yes.
Danny? Yeah.
Yes.
Because he keeps making that reference to him and Danny, so I don't know if maybe him and Danny done this bowling together, it says. But he keeps laughing about him and Danny, if I can say that to you. Um, I know that I think this is in a film, so I'm just going to say this to you. But was there a dog that you guys had that was Kojak or Kojo or something? That's a film,
um,
isn't it? Like a crazy, like possessed dog, Kojak or something.
I don't recall that.
That's bizarre. I keep seeing what looks to me so crazy. Um,
Um, I do
I
have a
don't know
dog,
what it is.
Mugsy.
No, no, thank you. I'd rather accept that we don't know it rather than try to change that. But I keep seeing this crazy, like, possessed dog that I want to say is also in some way associated to a film like Kojak or Kojo or something like this. So just bear in mind that I kept getting the impression of wanting to talk about a Rottweiler. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what I keep seeing here. But I feel like there's a memory there to who had the crazy dog on the street or the avenue where you guys lived. That's the impression that I want to say with that.
Oh,
Um,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I
do you
know what you're
understand it?
talking
Because
about now.
okay,
Yeah.
I was crazy there. But I feel just as your brother's coming forward, he is acknowledging it's important for you to have an ace up your sleeve. So I know whatever decisions or whatever is going on at the moment where you've got choices to make with people. Okay, and I feel this is a family situation. Make sure you keep your cards close to your chest. Have that ace up your sleeve so that
Wow.
whatever decisions they make, you also have a trump card, is the word I want to say. And I'm not saying
Absolutely. I
that,
can't believe you just said that. I just
well,
said that. That's amazing.
okay. Perfect. That's what you call mediumship, and that's just your brother's way of showing how close he is and what he is aware of as well, sweetie. Okay.
Yes.
So just know he's got your back wherever's going on. He's just put a cap on and he's turned it not backwards, but to the side, which is a little bit crazy.
Yes.
I just know that there's a photograph of him wearing a cap sideways, not that way, not backwards, sideways. And I almost feel he's like, rock on type of thing is sort of what I would say to you. So sincerely, thank you so much for letting me connect with you. But please know that your brother knows that you carried that burden of what if, and he doesn't want that anymore. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
lots of
Real
love
quick,
from him.
I just wanted to say, as far as the cards go, he used to give out lottery cards, scratchies, and it said you won 200,000 and 300,000. But if you read the back, it was a joke, and he thought it was funny. But not a lot of people thought
Seriously.
it was funny.
I certainly wouldn't think it was funny. I would cry if I thought I won and then was found
I
out it's a
did.
joke. Um, Wonderful. But again, that's just his way of really kind of validating to you that it's him. So, Lisa, thank you so much for allowing me to
Thank you,
share that with
Dominic.
you. You're very
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you so much. I will hand it back to our hostess with the mostess, Miss Sandra.
Oh, thank you so much. I just posted in the chat box Dominic's website, which is dominicboag.com. And also, in just 35 minutes' time, we're going to have another medium demonstration. We're going to have our friend Chris Jacobs back for a full 90-minute medium demonstration. So if you'd like to join us for that, you are welcome to do so. Yes, you can find out more about Dominic at dominicboag.com. He's got a beautiful book called The Voice of Spirit, The Boy Next Door with the Incredible Gift, if you want to hear more about his wonderful story. And you can find yourself in it as well, really making those choices. You can visit with Dominic live and in person, along with Darren and Scott and Josephine and other friends. They will be in November in the Netherlands, a wonderful retreat, and also in Plymouth, Massachusetts of April of 2026. You can find out more about that at togetherwithspirit.com. So here's just some things coming up with us. If you're interested in psychic and medium classes, we have a new class beginning on Thursday called A Gentle Path to Spirit. Our friend Scott Milligan and myself are spending much time together this week, and maybe with you. We've got a new class, Trance and the Altered States, starting on Monday. 4 2-hour sessions, a whole different kind of mediumship. You don't do readings on people, but it's an opportunity to slow down that busy mind, close your eyes, and just blend with the love from the unseen world. That's our guides, inspirers, loved ones, and with our own soul. It's really a special class. Begins on Monday. Tuesday, sitting in the power hours, an opportunity to quiet that busy mind again. It's for healing, connecting with your soul, raising your spiritual abilities. Friday, we're together for what's called In the Arms of Eternity. It's an opportunity to send healing in the world, but also to be part of a trance medium demonstration. So if you've heard of our book, Conversations with Eric, it's an opportunity to ask a friend in the unseen world about life, death, and the afterlife. And then on Saturday, we're doing a 3-hour intensive. Anyone can join, just 3 hours of quieting that busy mind and experiencing a lot of love. So you can find everything coming up at wedon'tdie.com. Just click on the store page. That's right, the store page. Next Sunday, Darren and I are back with medium Lawrence Saville will be with us. And like I said, we have got the demonstration with Chris Jacobs after this. I've got some new podcast episodes out. If you were engaged a little by my email and what I mentioned today in the Sunday gathering, there really was something that happened that led church and science apart, really. And I think here we are 500 years later, still thinking, oh, we can't talk about the afterlife, and oh, science doesn't talk about it. And it's really interesting to see why that happened and that we're still living that way. But of course, we don't have to live that way. Our voice does matter. So, what I want to just conclude my thoughts on this whole topic of choosing and decisions is I took a course once and they said that there's something different between choice and decisions. If I were to offer you two ice cream cones, one's chocolate and one's vanilla, and you get to decide which ones you want. Well, that's a decision. I myself might choose chocolate. I'm a fan. But sometimes life offers us just chocolate or just vanilla, and we have no choice. We have no decision. So, with that, we have to choose what's coming right at us. Unfortunately, it's things like a flat tire, a death of a loved one, loss of employment, someone's health fades, maybe even your own. So, why I bring this up is because we don't feel like we have any kind of choice or decision in that time. But in fact, we do. It is really hard to live with. I can't believe this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? It should have been this way, and feel a victim to it. Now, in reality, are you? Yeah, probably. But when we can be in the driver's seat of our life and just accept things for how they are at the moment, we have power in our life. It's the choice to paddle upstream or go with the flow. And I think when we can be present and choose what is exactly the way it is, not that we like it, but new things will occur, new people will come into our lives, new ideas. It's a heck of a lot of effort to resist, and what we resist persists. So if we can be in the moment, not make everything happening in our lives right, but choose it. Okay, this is what it is. How am I going to deal with it from here? And from there, there's a whole heck of a lot of power. Be still, invite in your loved ones, your guides, inspirers, get connected with us. We'll do everything we can so that you know that you are really supported. And I know with Darren going on this new adventure and with Scott into the unknown, how life is going to be. And Dominic took that risk to create being a medium full time. And I never in a million years thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. There's a whole team that knows your gifts. And you may not be leading a Sunday gathering, write a book, or being a medium, but your words matter. So when you have that freedom to be who you are, don't be surprised who and what comes into your life. And that passion that's been kind of dying to be outside of you and to be expressed will occur. So with that, my friends, the last announcement I have is just everything is at wedon'tdie.com, thanking all of our friends who have made our Sunday gathering possible by your donations. Of course, you can go to the Sunday gathering page at wedon'tdie.com and watch past Sunday gatherings, register for next week, and so much more. That's it for my inspiring words of the week. Of course, we thank Darren and Dominic as well. I'm going to pass it over to Dominic for our closing prayer.
Thank you, Sandra. What beautiful words to leave us with. Thank you for sharing that. Friends, let's take a moment of contemplation just to, again, give thanks to our friends in the spirit world. Divine Spirit, we graciously thank you for allowing us this moment to gather together through love and the knowing that life truly is eternal. We thank our loved ones who came close and gave us the proof and the evidence that they are still very much a part of our life, showing us that death truly is only a lie. We ask for healing our hearts, our minds, and our body, giving us the healing that keeps us going through life, knowing that again, life is eternal. Give us the healing and the positivity and help us make tough decisions that little bit easier. But we also ask that you give us the guidance and the clarity that we need to move forward. And all this we say in your name, which truly is eternal. And until we meet again, we say thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Dominic. All right, we're going to go into our closing song called It Gets Better. And a thank you for everyone being here today and to our friends and family in the spirit world, and of course for Darren and Dominic. Powerful video. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week, if not sooner. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Dominic.